Hey everyone, it's Cassie and welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. Today's a special one. We have a collaboration between Artesprix and Trinity stamps, which means we combine stamping and sublimation. Very exciting. I know you're here because you're a stamper, or maybe you do sublimation. Either way, we are going to combine the two, and I'm so excited because I've never done it before. You will need some special products, and I will have those linked down below, and we'll talk about them as we go. But we're going to start with a blank. This is our plastic keychain. You've got some heat tape, we have a sublimation ink pad, we've got some protective paper, and we're going to get into all of it. So let's get out our keychain, and we're going to have this going real time. Normally I have everything super sped up, but for this first project, I want to show you in real time, and then I'll show you two more projects that I speed them up. What you want to do to start is grab out some copy paper. You're going to fold that in half, which is what I've already done here. Just plain copy paper. And then you're going to grab a pencil and you're going to trace around your blank. You do this so that you know where to stamp and you know exactly where to color. And otherwise, it could be quite a process trying to make sure that you have everything lined up. But definitely grab a pencil and trace around your blank, including the little dot so that you don't stamp over that if you don't want to. All right, now I'm going to put this into my MISTI because we need to make sure that we're going to stamp this correctly. And this is the stamp set that I've grabbed out from Trinity Stamps. This is called the Big Bows, Little Bows. I thought it would be perfect for our blank. And I'm trying to decide which one I want to stamp on there. I may just have to do the other one with one of the big bows. Even though it's going to stick off the side, I just love the idea of it being in a giant bow. But for this one, we're going to grab the medium-sized bow. And then we'll pull that out, again, grab out our MISTI, and then we can do our stamping. Now, sublimation, if you've never done it before or never heard of it, which I had not, because I am a stamper, it has to do with like a chemical reaction, and it's incredible. So everything you stamp is going to be mirrored, so remember that, because you're going to use a heat source to get this onto that blank. So we'll close the door of our MISTI. I made sure that the bow was centered. We'll pull out our sublimation ink, and then we'll ink up our bow and stamp that down. Just in case we also need to restamp it, that's why I put it in the MISTI as well. That was a good impression. So now we're going to grab out our markers. These are the original Artesprix markers. There are 10 of them in there and lots of great colors. So we're going to pull all of those out, and we are going to color. Now, from what I understand, these can fit inside of like your cutting machines as well. I haven't tried it, but that is what I understand. And now I'm going to just go ahead and color. This bow, I'm going to color it in the pink. And on that copy paper, it looks kind of subdued, but whatever you transfer, it's definitely going to be much more vibrant. So keep that in mind. And because I am a stamper and I usually color with Copics, I do like to add a little bit of depth to my images. So we're going to grab in that purple and we're going to color in the areas where the bows are kind of bent. So that way we do have some shadowing and shading, and it makes that bow look like it's popping off of our piece. So I'm happy with that. But now I want to make this look like a present. So you can draw right on this copy paper, and whatever you draw on there, obviously, with these sublimation markers is going to transfer. So I'm using a ruler, and I'm using the black sublimation marker, and I'm drawing in the bow or the ribbon behind it. And I do want to go kind of beyond the pencil marked area, just in case it does shift. That way there isn't a blank area on there. So again, draw that in. And we'll do it the other way as well. And then we're going to color that in with our pink marker. But yeah, my daughter was explaining the whole sublimation process to me, which I am not a chemist. She is. And it was interesting. It's a chemical process, like I said, but I could not really explain it to you. All I know is that once the heat causes those molecules to turn into a gas, it then bonds to the polyester or poly-coated product, which is what we have here, and it ends up being this piece that it won't rub off. You can't wash it off. It's now a permanent piece or permanent part of your piece, which is so cool. So now I'm pulling out that heat tape. You definitely want to use heat tape, not like a regular tape that would melt. This is specifically made for the heat and high heat at that. And then I'm just going to put that all around just to make sure that it doesn't shift at all. I'll bring in my protective paper, which almost seems like parchment paper, but it is not. So it's not the same thing. And I'm going to cut that in half because you need to make a sandwich. The way it's going to work is you're going to have a piece of protective paper on the bottom. You'll flip your project over so that your blank is on the bottom of, or you'll have protective paper, blank, copy paper, then another piece of protective paper. And then you do want a protective project mat. This will make sure that your heat doesn't burn what's ever underneath that, and it protects that surface. So we'll stick this down. You can see that copy paper there, and then I'm going to bring in a heat source. My heat source is going to be the Cricut heat press, but you can use a regular heat press, one of those industrial ones, or you can even use a home iron. So don't be intimidated by like, oh, I got to buy this giant heat press or something like that. A home iron will work fine. You just want to make sure that you have your home iron on its highest heat with no steam, and then you're going to set your timer for 3 minutes, whereas with the heat press, it will be a little less time. And on the website, they do have the temperature and the amount of time for each blank that you would be using. And then for the heat press, because I have a little bit lower temperature, I had to add some seconds to it. So I added, it said 45, or my keychain was 60 seconds. I added 45 seconds to that. And now we can kind of pull things away. I highly suggest using hot pads, which I was too dumb not to use. I didn't burn myself, but it is going to be hot. Your project, it just sat there for over a minute underneath 360 degrees, so it's going to be warm. So I'm just peeling away that tape very carefully, trying to make sure everything transferred. And just by peeling back that corner, I can see that it did. So now we can continue. But if you're using a home iron, you definitely want to just ensure that it did transfer. So that way, that's why you just peek at a corner and take a look at that. Look at how vibrant that is. It's beautiful. And I have this beautiful keychain that looks like this pretty present. I love it. And yes, it's still hot. It's still a little too hot for me to do that. So take a look a little bit closer at our keychain. Ah, I love it. All right, now I want to do a bag tag. So I am going to pull out the wood bag tag that I have, and we're going to go ahead and take this process. We're going to double time it now. We don't need to do it in real time because you get the gist. We're going to go through all those steps again. We're just going to do it a little quicker. I've got my copy paper doubled up, and I am tracing around my blank using a pencil. I'm going to put it into my MISTI and grab out the stamp I want to use. This one happens to have words, but obviously this would mirror, so I don't want those words. Not this time. The next one I'll show you how you can do the words. But I'm going to take some masking tape, or some masking, in this case it's mint tape, and I'm going to cover the words because, like I said, I don't want the words. I just want our pretty little heart there. And this stamp set is the Warm Heart stamp set. I'll grab out my Sublimation ink again, ink up my heart, and stamp this down onto the copy paper after I've removed my masks. Definitely remove your masks first. Then I'll stamp that down, and then we'll go through the process of coloring. And I sped this up about 4 times because it's basically the same thing as earlier. I'm starting with my pink, and you'll notice I have the red off to the side. I want to try to bring in a little bit more shading, and because, you know, I'm a stamper and a colorer, so I typically will do that with any medium that I'm using. And I do want to see how this is going to turn out. The red doesn't pop as much. You can see it in real life. It does look like there is some shadowing and shading going on. But I'm going to do it also with this blue. So there's a light blue in this set, and there is also a darker blue. So once I get all of my blue on there, I'm going to bring in that darker blue and try to add a little bit of shadowing there. And then for the rest of it, I'm going to bring in the yellow. So I'll bring in that yellow, color that down. Remember, this is copy paper, so you're not going to be able to get a ton of mixing of colors. And these are I guess a water-based marker, so they will wash off, but they're a special sublimation marker. And I did bring in the orange. You'll notice that's kind of dark, so I bring in that yellow again and try and blend it. And it does blend a little bit, but again, this is copy paper. And now I want to see if I can stamp with those markers, which you can. So I've brought in the Winter Winds stamp set and one of the snowflakes, and I'm going to use this lighter blue and I'm going to just color over the top of our stamp and stamp it down. And yes, it works. It works beautifully. I love it. So I'm going to just continue on with that all over that background, even having some of them go off the side because that just gives the idea that there's continuation beyond our little bag tag. But I want to do all the bag tags now. I want to do a bunch of bag tags for all of our bags. And how fun. These would be some great little gifts to give the traveler in your family as well. And now I'll grab out the blank, and again with the heat tape, we're going to tape that down. I love that this is a type of product that I can, well, as we did, collaborate with the Sublimation from Artesprix and our stamps from Trinity stamps. It's just fabulous, and I love how that ends up working out. I'll have my blog linked down below, so you can go check that out if you're interested in seeing a post about this. There you can find more pictures and links. All right, same process. Grab out our protective paper and cut that down. I have my protective mat down, and we're going to make our sandwich again. At the very bottom we have our protective project mat. The next will be a piece of protective paper. Then you'll have your blank, your copy paper, and another piece of protective paper. I'll bring in my heat source, which happens to be, again, the Cricut heat press, and then set my timer and let that go. And then we'll peel that away again. I highly suggest you use some hot pads, which again, I was too lazy to go grab. But check it out, it's so vibrant, and it is now a part of that bag tag. I'm in love with these. Oh my gosh. So take a look at how vibrant that is, and you can sort of see where the red was, but isn't that neat? Love it. All right, for our final project today, we're going to make a bookmark. So I'm going to pull out the bookmark, and I'm going to show you how you can put words on this. So before I trace out my piece, I've got this Let Your Light Shine stamp set. I want the words from there. And I'm just going to grab my copy paper. We're going to put that right in there. You'll notice there's already a stamp in my MISTI, but this is backwards. So what I've done is I have it, just the back of the stamp is what's facing. So I'm going to ink up part of my stamp that says Light Shine, and I'm going to stamp that right onto the back of that stamp. All right, I'll clean that stamp off really well. You can see Light Shine is on there. And then I'm going to ink up the other part of it that says Let Your, and I'm going to stamp that right above Light Shine. Now I'm going to close the door of my MISTI, and that is going to transfer Let Your Light Shine onto that copy paper in mirror. So it doesn't look right, obviously, because it's mirrored, but that's what you need. You need your words to be mirrored. So now I will trace around that. I just want to make sure that I had it centered first. So I'll trace around my bookmark so that I can do the rest of my stamping, which is going to involve the little ornament from our Holiday Hangout stamp set. I'm just going to stamp that down, and then we'll start our coloring. I bring in the black marker so that I can make it look like the ornament's hanging all the way across our bookmark. And then I just start coloring with our red and our green. I don't really add any shadowing, but I do bring in that yellow, and I add my own little, like it's shining. This was so fun. And now I can tack down my bookmark with the heat tape, do our same sandwich like we did before, bring in our heat press, and when that is done, once again, use hot pads. It did pull away that last protective piece of paper, although that was on there. And then I can peel it away and check it out. It is now a part of that bookmark. Those images, and the Let Your Light Shine came out really nicely. So it can be done. All right, so there it is. Well, let's take a look at all the projects that I made for you. I'd love to know what you thought, and if it's something you'd be willing to give a try. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button and definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.